Hi, it's Sonia with 2x2 Lagoto and Kennel. So I hope you're having a great day after Christmas. I wanted to touch base and do this video. I get a lot of calls from people almost apologetic that they don't want a show dog and wonder if I have companion puppies even though I'm a show kennel, a show breeder. And I wanted to kind of dispel some myths and hopefully make people a little more aware of what goes into being a show breeder and why you only want to work with a show breeder. So first things first, let's identify what a show breeder is. A show breeder is someone who, for the purposes of showing, breeds their dogs. Now, before you think this is some fabulous hobby, it is a fabulous hobby. It's one of the most rewarding things that I've done in my lifetime is showing my animals. Currently, I have a handler that does that for me. They're the professional. I'm terrible at showing, just terrible. So, a show breeder goes into all of the genetics, all of the clinical mechanics of breeding, raising, training, rearing, socializing, and then showing and hopefully winning. That is why we do this, after all, to win. But it's not just about winning. It is about the feeling that comes from knowing that you just took a dog into the ring that met the standard and the judge agreed with you. You took your best animal into the ring and the judge said, yes, that one. But more than that, it gives a lot of credibility because what it takes to have an AKC champion is a pretty lengthy process. It's an expensive process. It's a very time-consuming process. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. So people want to know, well, I don't want a show dog. Actually, yes, you do. Whether you ever step into a show ring or not, you want a dog that was formed and fashioned from the best that there could possibly be. Not every puppy is meant for the show ring. It takes an exceptional dog, not just with how it looks and how it acts, but how its brain is wired. It has to be able to walk into a building with all of the echoing, with all of the noises, with 2,500, 5,000, 10,000 dogs, and all the noise that goes along with it, and never miss a beat. And walk into the ring a happy-go-lucky dog that is eager to do what it was bred to do. At that point, it's to show itself off, for no other reason than being beautiful. But you don't get there just by having beautiful dogs. I mean, I'm sure there are some breeders that are, but there's way more that goes into it than just cosmetics. It's the foundation of the breed. It's the total package for me. If my dogs can't do everything, meaning truffle hunt, agility, therapy, hunting, and the most important job, my family pet, what's the point? You can win 1,000 ribbons, and if you can't live with the dog, what's the point? So having a well-rounded dog from show lines is critical. This is exactly what you want. And as I note these things, when you choose to work with a responsible breeder, as a side note, you're keeping dogs from entering into the shelter system. Reputable dogs that come from reputable breeders, well-bred dogs that come from reputable breeders, the breeder will stand behind anything they breed. So a contract will outline all of those things for that reputable breeder. The responsible breeder stand behind their dogs for life and have that in their contract that the dog has to come back to the breeder. So any puppy that a reputable, responsible breeder brings into the world has to, if you can't keep it for whatever reason, that means it goes back to the breeder, not into a shelter. So well-bred and purebred are not synonymous. They don't mean the same thing. Well-bred and purebred is your objective. If you're looking for a puppy, well-bred and purebred. So for me, I'm the caretaker not only of the individual dog, but the reputation and the welfare of the breed as a whole is my ultimate responsibility. I am a preservationist at heart. I'm a purist at heart. I'm a perfectionist at heart. And so all of those things kind of combine for the reputable breeder. It's incumbent upon me to set the example for each and every single dog that dog can be individually cherished, but only the physically and temperamentally sound should be bred. So if in a particular litter of puppies, there may be in a litter of 6 puppies, 3 of them weren't show quality, guess what? The next time I breed, I'm up in the ante. I want 5 out of 6. Ultimately 6 out of 6. I want to be able to look at an entire litter of puppies and they all have show quality conformation. They all look the way they're supposed to look. Now, does that mean that in a particular litter of 6, the 3 that weren't show quality, does it mean they're hideous? No. Does it mean that they have some kind of thing that makes them not look like a Lagotto? No. Some of the things that I'm talking about at this stage of the game are flaws so minor they're imperceptible to the untrained eye. A gait might be off. A tail set might be off. The way their teeth align might be off. So these are purely cosmetic things that have no impact long-term on the breed, on the dog. But for all intents and purposes, they wouldn't do well in the show ring. At this stage of the game, though, I've been breeding for 30 years. I've been raising Lagotto for over 10 years. I can look at entire litters of puppies, and any one of them could be a show puppy. So I rely very heavily on my companion homes. I don't have the time or the space to keep all 6 puppies for the show ring, but I can keep 1 or 2 and do that with personal excellence. That's why I need companion homes. I love my companion homes. And truth be told, that's the most important job that's the most important job a dog can do, is be a family companion. So on that note too, talking about reputable, responsible breeders who stand behind their dogs for life and bringing litters into the world, I accept the premise that if I breed a litter of dogs, those dogs are my responsibility for their lifetime. So I'm not just having 1 litter so that my children can see how this all works, or, oh gee, this would be really fun if Fifi could have a litter of puppies and we could keep one. No, I'm around long term, and already have been. Buying a purebred dog requires intentionality. Not all purebred dogs are well bred. So if you take nothing away from this video except there is a difference between purebred dogs and well-bred dogs, that would be the biggest thing that I'd want you to take away. I have people who call sometimes and they find out that I show and they assume that it's going to be more expensive to get a puppy from me. No, it's not. The average cost in North America for a Lagotto is between $3,000 and $8,000, plus or minus $500. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. So the average cost of a Lagoto in North America is between $3,000 and $8,000. Anything less than that, and I question the motive. Anything more than that, and maybe you're just buying a brand. I don't know. But so when people call and assume that because I show the dogs are more, I just want to dispel that. They're not. You do get what you pay for. But saying that you don't need a registered dog, or I get that a lot, I don't need one that's registered. Yes, you do. If you want to know that what you're paying for is actually that breed, you do want a registered dog. Or you don't need a dog from a show breeder. It's kind of like saying you don't need a home that's built to code. And here's some reasons why, what a show breeder will do and why you want to work with a show breeder. So I've defined what the show breeder is. I've kind of given a little bit of background about that. We ask too much of our companion dogs to leave it to chance by getting it from a puppy mill or from a backyard breeder. So I think it's an investment that needs to be taken very seriously and with a lot of effort put into finding the right breeder. So show breeders are licensed and inspected. This is kind of a hot button, and this is where it starts getting real. Cutting corners to prevent someone in a governmental agency or someone from AKC from coming to inspect you in order to save money or stay under the radar. I have a problem with that. I'm licensed by our state. I am AKC inspected, and I'm inspected by the county in which I live, and it's expensive. It costs a lot of money, and I probably could have flown under the radar. I'm assuming because I know other breeders in America, in the States, that aren't licensed. I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to fly under the radar. They think there's some big, bad, hairy thing going to happen if a state inspector comes to their home. And to be honest, it's the best thing ever. We should embrace that. It's what keeps the honest separated from the dishonest, and it also gives credence. They're here to do a job, and that is to help reputable breeders maintain their reputable breeder status. So these backyard breeders are kind of doing a disservice to the reputable breeders by not being licensed, by flying right under the radar. My state only requires licensing if I have 6 or more litters, so I'll never have more than 6 litters. I'll only have 5. That's the wrong motive. Completely the wrong motive and attitude. Show breeders do all their testing. We are not going to invest hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in showing a dog only to find out that it produces some god-awful genetic thing. We do all of the testing on the front end so that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt what we've produced is healthy. We submit to AKC for registration, proper registration, and DNA testing. Well, guess what? If I'm registering a dog with AKC, I've signed a form that says this dog comes from these 2 parents, and at some point you'll have to DNA. And DNA testing is where the rubber meets the road. Were you honest about which dog bred which dog? Hope so. I hope so, because it'll be found out. Reputable show breeders submit themselves, their dogs, not themselves, their dogs, and they pay a lot of money. So you've got entry fees, you've got expenses driving to and from, hotels, gas, food while you're there, all the show equipment. And if you pay handler, then you've got handler fees. So we're paying a lot of money to be able to get a judge's opinion about our breeding program, about what we are breeding. So we walk that dog into the ring, and the judge says first, second, third, and so on. And of course the goal is first. Of course the goal is best of breed. At this stage of the game for me, it's group wins and best in shows. I want a judge's opinion every single weekend on every single dog that I keep for my breeding program. I want a judge's opinion. I want to know that I am producing a dog that looks like the breed I'm purporting to show. And that's important because over time, backyard breeders and puppy millers destroy a breed's look. They continue to breed dogs that, while they might be profitable and prolific, they might not look exactly like the breed is supposed to look. And so why would you want to go to all this time and effort, spend all this money on a dog that doesn't really look like what it's supposed to? Indiscriminate breeders are just bringing pups into the world without a plan. And that brings up my next point, which is show breeders will have a long-term breeding plan. It's not indiscriminate. It's not willy-nilly. It's not, oh, let me see if this works. It is an in advance plan with long-term pedigree knowledge, with long-term preservation in mind. And when you're dealing with a rare breed such as the Lagotto, this is even more critical. Being a preservationist is even more critical. But anybody who shows and breeds knows that it's a race against the clock to make sure that golden retrievers look like golden retrievers. I've seen some, I don't even know what that is. Doesn't look like a golden to me. Labs, Portuguese water dogs, Rottweilers, Greyhounds, French bulldogs, Lagotto. They all need to look like their breed. And the preservationist at heart, what's in every show breeder, is to ensure that in the catalogs of our breed, in our stud books, when you go and you look at a pedigree in 5 or 10 years, you see these dogs that have become the foundation of the breed. You see them in those lines. That's the goal, making sure that we put our mark on the dog world with a well-bred, purebred dog. You know, the other thing about showing, when I breed, I don't know until 8-9 weeks of age what puppy is going to stay and be shown for sure. I might have some ideas at 5 or 6, 7 weeks of age, but they have to grow up a little bit. So I treat the entire litter as though every single puppy was going to make the show cut. And as a result, myself and other reputable show breeders are properly socializing those puppies. Every single puppy is given the same amount of attention, the same neurological, developmental procedures, and they're socialized the same way because we don't know which one. And so it ensures proper socialization of an entire litter, and therefore your puppy. And this kind of goes without saying. I keep losing this. I'm definitely not a professional at this, but I'm really good at raising puppies. Definitely not good at videoing. I'm not going to quit my day job and be a videographer. Sorry about that. But while we're on the subject of reputable breeders, and I know I've said this in other videos before, be sure to watch your puppy mill states. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and of course the one everybody knows is Missouri. But there are laws in those other states that I mentioned that allow puppy mills. And the puppy millers are savvy. Oh, they talk a good talk. But you'll see that they have different age puppies available all the time. It's almost like you call and you say, hey, I want a brown one with spots. Oh, I have just the puppy. Not long waits with this breed. You should expect to wait 3 to 12 months, depending on, and 3 is like so conservative. Like that is just kind of unheard of, but I'll throw it out there. It can happen. But 3 to 12 months is the average wait, depending on the gender and color of the puppy that you want. This conversation also begs the differentiation between not just a reputable show breeder, but also, like I said, the puppy mill and the backyard breeder. And I've mentioned in another video before, but backyard breeders don't show. The excuse being that they don't need someone to tell them that they have good dogs. They don't need to participate in a beauty contest. Well, it's way more than a beauty contest, let me tell you. But those excuses don't really hold any water because at the end of the day, what they're avoiding is the expense. So their profit margin, and I'm just speaking candidly here, their profit margin will take a hit if they hire a handler to show. So they don't. But backyard breeders will have a couple of females, 2 to 3 females, maybe 1 or 2 males. They'll alternate. It sounds good on paper. Oh, I only have 1 litter a year. Well, you're not a breed preservationist. If you're only having 1 litter a year, and there's rare exceptions. Listen, if your lifestyle is so crazy, if you live in an apartment and you have 2 dogs or 3 dogs, or you live in a townhome or a small home or a city limits where you can't have, a lot of dogs, and your time and attention and your focus goes into those 3 or 4 dogs. And then you may only have 1 litter a year, but you know that going into it. And it's a decision, it's a personal decision. Preservationists are not tied to 1 litter a year. We can't afford it, especially in a rare breed. We have lines that are going extinct. Especially with the Lagotto, the breed was almost extinct 40 or 50 years ago. And so, there's certain pedigrees out there where, it's not going to be long before it's extinct. It's gone, never to be utilized again. And especially that's true with the females, with the bitches, because we have no means of saving eggs. Now with males, we can freeze semen, and that's important. Oh, that is so important to a reputable breeder, to make sure that you are going to the expense, and that's a couple $1,000s to freeze semen, and then a couple $1,000 more to be able to use it later, because it's not just a regular breeding or a regular artificial insemination. It's extensive. It's a surgical procedure. So before I close out, I just wanted people to feel comfortable and confident getting a puppy from a reputable show kennel is the ultimate goal. It is what you want to do. I've outlined why you want to do it. We need our companion pet homes. And of course, not everybody's going to make the cut for that either. I get dozens of questionnaires, and I filter through them, and I vet them properly. That's another thing that reputable breeders will do. We have carefully designed questionnaires. Mine was designed by a psychologist, and it tells me a lot of things. I'm not trying to be sneaky or nosy or anything like that. I am a reputable breeder who cares where my puppies go. So that is it in a nutshell. I hope you will tune in for more. Like our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page for updates, and share and like the video. Thanks. Have a great day.